Hello and welcome to the SciFirst MovieTalk episode. So in this episode we journey ever further into the wizarding world of Harry Potter with the 5th movie adaptation derived from the works of J.K. Rowling. That is, of course, the movie based on the 5th book in the Harry Potter series, the 2007 fantasy adventure Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, as directed this time around by David Yates, who now takes up on the directorial duties, if you like, for the rest of the films in the series, including, at the time of this review, the 3 Fantastic Beasts movies released as prequels and an extension to the overall wizarding world created from the Harry Potter franchise. Now, before I get started, I just want to give a disclaimer, as I've done for every single movie in this series so far, and will do for the rest of them, I'm sure. I can't comment on the movie with respect to the books, having never actually read any of them, much to the dismay of many, I'm sure. So I'll be coming purely from the point of view of the movie itself and the overall Harry Potter movie franchise, rather than going into detail with regards to its closeness to the source material, of which I am not qualified, not even remotely qualified, to even attempt. Now, would you believe it? With this film, times are going just so fast. We are now in our 5th year at Hogwarts, and the stakes have never been higher for our intrepid trio. Harry Potter, as played by Daniel Radcliffe, and his 2 best friends, Ron Weasley, as played by Rupert Grint, and Hermione Granger, as played by Emma Watson, as they not only have the worry of their wizarding exams and other kind of tribulations of becoming high school seniors, but also the spectre looming of the Dark Lord's return, Voldemort, as played by Ralph Fiennes, who Harry witnessed rising back to health, if you like, at the end of the last instalment. Unfortunately, the majority of people refuse to believe that the Dark Lord is indeed staging his return, including the powerful and influential Ministry of Magic, whose head, one Cornelius Fudge, as played by Robert Hardy, seems to seek to defamate, Harry's character, and even amongst his classmates becomes a pariah, further seeking to isolate him from those around him. Not only that, Albus Dumbledore, as played by Michael Gambon, the headmaster at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, as one of the few people who do believe Harry, is targeted too, and soon the school finds itself under new management, as Dolores Umbridge, as played by Imelda Staunton, placed into the school by the Ministry, tries to use any means necessary to remove Dumbledore and exert her own influence as headmistress of the school. As their world is turned upside down, and it basically seems as though everybody is against them at every turn, can our 3 friends go up against the forces of the Dark Lord on their own, those of the Ministry, and even their friends, in order to reveal to the wizarding world just what a danger everybody is in? So, through this, I couldn't help but keep thinking about the immortally iconic words uttered by Rubeus Hagrid, as played by Robbie Coltrane, at the very start of the first movie, as Harry looks in amazement and awe. "You're a wizard, Harry." And do you know what? After the last few films, I kind of felt that some of this sentiment had kind of been a bit lost. Even Harry himself had felt kind of overwhelmed and a bit bewildered by a lot of what was happening around him. But those words couldn't be truer than they are and were for this film. Harry, you are indeed, most certainly, a wizard. This is the movie for me where Harry comes into his own. Radcliffe feels like he really gets the role this time around and takes charge with his character, readying the students for what is to come, and with a much more masterful and polished performance. It's the movie that sets the foundations for the rest of the series to come, leaving the more episodic feel of the franchise behind, concentrating ever more on Voldemort's dark purpose, his need and obsession with Harry, learning more about his followers, their mission, and indeed those who look to oppose his inevitable onslaught. We get to see some more spectacular integration of the inner workings of the magical realm, how it interacts with ours, and how indeed, in the wizarding world, many events are politically motivated and twisted. A take on the world I enjoyed, seeing the mechanics at work, loyalties tested, and how the film kind of playfully constructs and construes these elements against the backdrop of the ever-imposing doom. It is a very political movie, I'll give it that, perhaps a bit drier in plot and motivation than those that had kind of gone before, and very much less of a visual spectacle at times, being very much a more sombre and kind of toned affair. But still absolutely full of sentiment, you know, and indeed some very iconic moments and characters, once again, that whilst as we kind of travel further into this kind of the dark corners of this world, still kind of prove that the series has lots to offer and can even balance those dark times ahead with some particularly clever elements that lighten the path ahead. It feels like we're coming home, you know, once again, and not just with Hogwarts, which itself, moreover than not, is not almost acting as only as a backdrop, you know, a facilitation, more than being a presence in itself. Now, don't get me wrong, it still has a few tricks up its sleeve, but this time around, the movie is very much character-centric, and this is where the warmth of the movie is derived. Staunton provides a fantastic secondary antagonist as Dolores Umbridge, you know, a total Stepford witch, fixated on rules and regulations, but passionate and devoted to her cause, singular-minded, but totally off the rails. An excellent performance, an absolutely fantastic new addition that offers much of the movie's, you know, more playful elements. Even the school's caretaker in this one, Argus Fitch, as played by David Bradley, enjoys a very much more expanded and more central role, forming Umbridge's kind of right-hand man, so to speak. And brilliantly so, you know, as together they really do try and break the students' spirits and find the hidden location which Harry seeks to train students in defensive magic, given that Umbridge prefers a more paper-based theoretical approach to the whole affair. The returning cast are absolutely on top form too. Indeed, I think some of their best and more kind of constructed performances so far. There are some poignant moments between a number of the characters, and it is here that friendships are reforged and strengthened. I think the plot is more subdued than we have kind of had in previous installments. The stakes are high, but hidden, I think. Voldemort is mostly teased. The Order of the Phoenix, a secret society in opposition to Voldemort, and indeed on which the film gets its title, is only marginally involved in the movie's story, serving really only as an introduction. With kind of hindsight and kind of knowing where the series goes, you can see this was designed to set things up going forwards, to set the players on both sides. But specifically in this film, on its own merits, it does kind of seem somewhat a little bit fleecing, you know? But otherwise, it's another well-constructed entry, and even more so as the link in the chain between Harry's past, the present danger, and where again, with hindsight, we know where this series is about to go. There's still some grand imagination at work, and indeed some fantastic world building and scope once again. But as I have insinuated, you know, this is very much character-focused and aimed at the political landscape and motivations of those in power. Characters have much more overall involvement as the movie twists and turns, and this plays out very well on screen, with some very well constructed and fluid dialogue, and makes for some very engaging, grounded, and very heartfelt moments. It's more focused than some of its previous entries, and certainly has a strong emotional core, carrying it through some of the key themes of family and friendship we had kind of built upon in previous installments, often with a very dark and disturbing edge, bringing a much more mature entry, very much with the cast now coming of age in terms of both the roles and indeed their ongoing storyline itself. It might not be the fastest paced movie, but it's passionate and has some brilliant moments throughout that still give it the energy it needs to captivate and weave its intricate web of intrigue, deceit and secrets that feels kind of smoother and more polished in a way, with a distinct aim now towards the series' end game. It's an honest entry, grounded perhaps, but still full of sparks and wonder on many levels. Not least with regards to Harry's love life, who, it does seem, is becoming quite the ladies' man. Overall, you know, although the story's probably not as strong or as adventurous compared to what we've kind of seen before, or as sweepingly cinematic, I do appreciate its more political, kind of subtle, less direct approach for the most part. It manages to kind of just go dark enough without kind of really going over the top at this stage. It was just what was needed, or past the point of no return. Very much teasing and kind of giving a taste of what is yet to come, or indeed bringing us our first real epic and much anticipated high-stakes wizarding duel. A wonderfully grand and enticing film in its own way, with fantastic direction, stakes raised with every turn, some fantastic characters, old and new, who are most certainly getting into the stride, you know, with a strong emotional core and totally full of sentiment. So, that brings me to the end of this episode, and many thanks for watching. I do hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please leave a like. Please do hit that subscribe button for more movie reviews, trailer reactions, and other movie-related content. Absolutely loved having you here at SciFirst Movie Talk, and definitely love to have you back. Most of all, just thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.